Okay, we are officially starting the travel timer now at the airport. What is your guess for how long it's gonna take?
I think it's gonna take us like 50. By the time we can sit on the bed where we're going, I think it's gonna take 50 hours.
I also think more than 48, but I didn't know.
It's gonna take 50 hours. Especially if you had half an hour now that we left.
That we just drove in the car and didn't time it, yeah. Anyway. We're basically halfway.
You're right. Here we go on a trip with amor to the side of the world.
Spotted. XOXO, Gossip Girl.
We made it to Doha. How do you feel?
Stiff.
She feels stiff. That's how I always feel.
The difference between me and you. I feel like my legs are shorter.
My eyes go more. She's overwhelmed.
And look at this bear coming up.
We've just gone round just to check the bear.
It's kind of ugly. But it's a spectacle. I mean, look at the screen. Interesting. I thought it was going to be in gold.
There are loads of people everywhere. It's a bit overwhelming.
An entire forest.
Have a walk in the forest.
Why not? What?
Look at the people sleeping.
This is such a cool idea in an airport. I'm not gonna lie, I do like this airport. I'm gonna keep this for the rest of my life.
Let's explain what's going on.
I'm in shock. We just got to the desk and then she printed these silver things and we went on a bus that says business class. I'm like dying. How did it, how? Genuinely like asking myself, can I open this? I just don't believe it. Or is it like hotel rules? So yeah, the unthinkable urban legend happened to us and we randomly got upgraded to business class and I was not playing it cool at all. I was super thrilled. It was an 8-hour flight from Doha to Jakarta and I could have continued for 10 more hours. Genuinely, it changed the game and now the hope of it happening again will always remain alive in me. Just kidding. I know it was a once in a lifetime, but I really felt like a kid that had been dropped in some super fancy hotel where I didn't belong or know how to act. What is this life? I don't understand. We're so lucky. I don't understand.
Jakarta, 28. One more plane. Let's go.
The last flight was 4 hours. We had not slept on the way there, and at that point we were just super eager to land and experience a whole other world. And when we did land, we were bombarded by people trying to claim us as their own taxi customers. It was just a lot of chaos.
You're running around in the country to find bank.
Yeah, we already had to, Tommy went on a solo mission for the money for the ferry. We had kind of been hustled away towards the ferry port so quickly that we ended up waiting an hour for it to open for us to buy our ticket, and then we ended up waiting an hour longer until the ferry actually took off. But in the end, we got some suspicious snacks, watched these guys load some fish cargo, and we were on our way. Basically what happens when you get off the ferry is there is more mad chaos with different homestays trying to find their guests. But if that's not you, you have to follow the tourists to the ticket office and buy some various permits to enter the region. And then you get connected with your boat guy and your homestay translator, if you will, the guy who coordinates your stay, and you start your 2.5 to 3 hour boat journey, in our case, to get away from the main areas and get far out in the atolls. I have to kind of laugh looking back at this moment, because if I hadn't laughed, I probably would have cried. I had thought that this boat was going to be 20 minutes, and I'm not really sure where I got this idea. And when Tommy asked the guy how long this boat journey was, and he said it was potentially 3 hours, depending on how fast we went, we kind of just looked at each other in silence and knew what was ahead of us. What ended up happening was the engines just lulled me into a trance, and this entrance to our homestay really made up for everything. The island is almost a full circle with just that little entrance not touching, so the landmass is so small that you can see the ocean clearly just like that on both sides, and maybe it's 10 paces in width. I feel like I'm at the end of the world. There was an incredible turquoise fish a second ago. Oh, I see one. He's way out here though. It's amazing. I've never seen a fish this color. I'll get it with the GoPro later. This is our little cabin. Simple living at the end of the world. Yeah, I feel like I don't know, transported to somewhere crazy. First dip. Bye now. Here we are, a bit cheating by an hour because we went snorkeling already. We're both like microdosing sleep while we sit upright in a chair, so we had to try and make a job for ourselves. Very functional area over here. Toiletries here. We're gonna try to make it 1 more hour and then sleep for so long. The Mornings started usually just like that, waking up to the bright sun and already feeling the heat and almost sweating. We'd usually walk to the end of this boardwalk where we could see from across from us this super famous island spot. It's internet famous. It's not really actually legal to even swim here amongst all the spires jutting out. You can only hike to a viewpoint, which we didn't end up doing because we just thought, what's the point if you can't swim? We can just admire our bird's eye view from the drone. Early on in this trip planning, we decided not to drive ourselves crazy, trying to do every single thing possible, but just to really enjoy at our own pace and to only go on side excursions if we really felt drawn to it. So, unless we were jumping straight in the water, otherwise I'd start the morning by doing a stretch or some yoga before feeling awake enough to go look for our little sharky friends. Tommy was usually waking up before me, but by the last week of the trip, we'd both naturally wake up by sunrise, and this kind of amazed me how strong our circadian rhythm was on this trip. Because there was such limited electricity and lights, and we basically were living outside with just a roof over our heads, it really felt like we adapted to live exactly with the sun. It was pretty amazing. We'd go to bed and be feeling tired by like 9:30 and just fall asleep by 10 reading in our beds or in the hammock, and then we would wake up no alarm as the sun was about to rise. To say I was blown away is a massive understatement. The first place we saw was a beautiful, colorful coral garden right next to a deep drop-off. There was so much life to see in every crevice of the coral. I felt like I had to keep looking at the same spot multiple times because each dive closer and closer revealed some new animal or plant I'd never seen before. The underwater landscape changes every 50 meters or so. New structures that look like they're from a Dr. Seuss book just appear before your very eyes. And I saw things that seemed like science fiction. For example, I saw this spiky little decorative looking umbrella feather thing that pops out of large smooth coral structures and then super quickly sucks back into their host coral when scared, and I don't even know how they sensed our presence watching them. And also for reference, we don't have professional cameras right now, and so this is not even as colorful as it was in real life.
How big? How big was he?
I just saw such a big barracuda. I'm honestly more scared of those than sharks.
Where is it?
He's in that direction. We were also super lucky to see sharks on our very first day, and actually every day after that as well. Every single time we swam, we saw them. It's quite scary at first because this is the first time for me swimming with sharks in the wild or anywhere, and they were so elegant. After the initial period of time where you're a little bit nervous around them, once you see their behavior and see that they're not agitated and they are checking you out, it became something that I wanted to see all the time. Tell us what we saw just
We
this
saw-
morning.
We saw there was a group of 10 sharks. There happened to be fish. Had like a tail.
I think they're called sunfish in English. I don't know.
They
They're
looked like
triangle.
a fin when they were out of the water. There were a lot of them.
Completely looks like a fin. Thought it was a shark.
So they were scared to jump in the water, but in the end there was nothing. But we ended up doing a long round and then...
Well, I did see a shark right under us.
I didn't see it.
It was the
Long
black tip.
round, yeah, we saw a nice turtle that was feeding herself breakfast. It was quite cool. We were really close. She wasn't scared at all. And then there was like a little rays. Like kind of brown with like blue dots. We saw a huge shark and hiding in a piece of coral. Not sure yet what it is. We have to check.
Yeah, it was really different. It wasn't like angel shark, but it was very flat with like big rounded fins.
What did we saw else? Oh, this is another black ship baby shark.
Yeah, that was cute.
And so many fish, so many places. Like it feels like in 200 meters there's like 500 different ecosystems.
Yeah.
You turn the corner, different. Turn the corner, different.
It feels like a child's coloring book that you're looking at, like colors you've never imagined seeing. It was so nice. Now we're gonna just read until lunch. Right on our little terrace here. This was a really nice afternoon excursion we took one day. We got invited from some people we just met at the homestay we were staying at, so we decided to go to this quite famous spot called Melissa's Garden. It's quite famous amongst scuba divers mostly, so I didn't have any expectation about what we would see. I thought maybe it's deeper because scuba divers like it, but not at all. It's completely snorkelable, freediveable. It's quite shallow in my opinion compared to some other places we went, such as Pham Wall afterwards, which is much more of a drop off. And we saw some amazing cool coral here that we hadn't seen yet. Huge anemones, so many different types of clownfish. I thought that was really neat that there are many different types and styles of clownfish. So many small neon fish. It was really interesting, this spot. We saw sharks as well. We saw a bunch of needlefish that we always see. Lots of schools of fish like this one. We saw bright purple and neon blue pieces of coral that we had not seen around Rufus yet. So it was really interesting. It was a really great excursion. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Some people say that the current gets really strong here, and I'm sure that's true, but we just got lucky. We didn't have such a crazy strong current, so we could actually hang out with all the fish we were seeing, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this excursion. The home has become one big drying rack. This is from our excursion today. Wetsuit and bathing suits over there. Our towels, I think, are just going to be wet. The afternoons usually consisted of reading in the hammock, sometimes a nap during the most intense sunny part of the day. Other times we'd go straight back in for another snorkel around the island. This is a beautiful view of the coral right on the edge of the drop-off on this particular island. Sometimes the whole tour of the island, if we were really taking our time and enjoying, would take us up to 2 hours each individual time. And then once the day got slightly less bright, a little bit less hot, we'd go to this built-up lookout. We'd walk up these limestone steps and get a little bit of a breeze at the top, and usually do a workout per my request to shake off our jet lag. Good morning.
Good morning, amor.
Just watching clothes. It's working?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I bought a little laundry detergent bar.
Cool.
Oh, I can smell it a bit. It's nice. Came back with my morning tea, but Candela, this is for you. Look how tiny it is. And it's not because it's not ripe. It's an adult.
The back?
No.
Like she's got a lot of chips missing at the back.
Oh. If you're not fluent in snorkel speech, that was him telling me about our beautiful turtle friend here. Because we noticed, as you can probably see on the back of her shell, there were some pieces missing where it's very white. It looked like something had tried to attack her at some point and kind of broken off, I guess for lack of a better term, like the tile sort of sections of her shell. And we were kind of wondering to ourselves if that had to have happened when she was younger, or who knows, because now I can't imagine something taking off such a hard shell, but I'm sure it happens. This turtle was so fun to hang out with. I keep calling her a she because I just feel she is, but I really have no idea. She was so sweet with us. We really swam with her probably for 20 to 30 minutes. First we just observed her, of course, but she seemed completely unbothered by us, which really took us by surprise. She was going after the coral like crazy, feeding on it, and we'd heard that from other divers that we had been staying around, that the turtles really get after the coral. But when we observed her, it seemed like she would eat coral that was kind of already dead, or it must have had some algae on it or something, because then you could hear her beak tearing it up. She would chew on it and then sometimes spit it back out, or it looked like it wasn't really food for her. This section of the coral bed was still just on the outskirts of the island we were staying on Rufus, and you can see that both of us are having trouble fighting our buoyancy whenever we tried to swim with her. We didn't bring weights on this trip, and so a lot of the time we just started to resort to not fully filling our lungs, and I don't recommend anyone do this, and nobody dive alone, but we are experienced divers, and so when it's really shallow like this and you don't have weights and you want to stay there without fighting the current and fighting the buoyancy, we just ended up like going down on empty lungs so that we could just observe her for longer. It was such a beautiful experience to see this turtle repeatedly for a few days. For some little background information, in the first day of our trip, our GoPro broke and got water damage, and it ended up being to our benefit because we used a hard case that Tommy had brought for his phone, which ended up filming so much more beautifully. So this turtle was a repeat friend of ours by the time we left Rufus, but we did see other turtles there as well, and some are more shy and some kind of swim away a bit quicker. Some let you see them as they surface to breathe, which was also quite shocking to me. I thought it would be that they would hide themselves more. I thought it would be they were more timid, but maybe they're used to snorkelers and used to, not being hunted by humans or anything around this area. We were just completely mesmerized by everything we were seeing those first few days, and it really wasn't just the shock value or the shock factor. Everything was so alive. There was not a moment where we were missing the things we'd left at home. It was very apparent to me when we first arrived that I was watching this underwater world like a TV show or like a series, and I wanted to revisit it every morning and every afternoon. I didn't want to leave it. I wanted to take full advantage of everything because, every time you dive, There's just something slightly different that you see, and just the amount of time that we could spend in the water was so precious to us. How insane.
A little clownfish over there.
Another morning, another glassy sea, super glassy. You almost can't tell that you're moving sometimes, it's so glassy, except that we can hear the boat engines. This day excursion was so magical. It was my favorite day of our trip, I think, and it became even more magical as the trip went on, realizing how alone we were on this excursion. We went with another Dutch couple we'd met and were getting along with at the homestay, and we found a boat guy to take us to a small island, maybe 20-30 minutes away, where there's a strong current that passes by the beach, and you can hopefully see mantas. Oh yeah, he's coming. Oh, he's saying hi.
There's many.
There's more. There's so many. So as we're drifting along in this drift dive, essentially, you can actually see all the sediment or tiny plankton in the water that the mantas feed on. They actually come to places of strong rip currents so that they can feed. But watching them swim, you would have no idea how strong the current is, because they're actually going against the current, and we end up floating because you can't swim against the current at all, and we're able to pass these beautiful, beautiful creatures. Essentially, we were alone at this spot, and it was early morning, but not super early. We just got super lucky that day. These are the Dutch friends that came with us. They actually had the idea to come to this spot, and we're so glad they invited us along. They were heading off to a different homestay after this trip that we dropped them off at. As the boat guide drops you off at the top of the rip current, he lets you drift down to where it kind of spits you out into this neutral territory where it's not super strong. He picks you back up again, and then he takes you to the top. And each time, we went three maybe 4 times that day, Each time that we drifted, there were groups of 10 or so different mantas that kept on going through the current. You can see I'm trying sometimes to swim against the current with the manta, trying to kind of swim after it, and I just can't. I'm just not moving at all. You can see here how strong it's pushing me away, and I just gave up at a certain point. You just have to find the right moment to dive down with them. These creatures are just so majestic to see in person. I was nervous actually before we found them. I thought maybe I would be scared to swim with them, but I was not at all. It was such a calming experience. They just float and dive past you. If they don't want to be around you, they change direction. It all looks like a little Star Wars ship underwater, just so gentle and elegant.
Where are we, Hannah? I don't think they see a lot of white people around here.
I don't think so. They speak English. Oh, he's so fast. Oh my gosh, he's like a ghost.
Well, that looks like it's the main island where they get some supply from. There's the main dock. It's very quiet. Yeah, so that's the little village. And because there's no electricity, it's just striking how quiet it is. Just the engine of the boats every now and then. But other than that, it's just no noise, nothing. That's it, the boat's gone, and now...
Well, there's one behind us, but after that, it's gonna be quiet. Last morning at Rufus. This is the main area. I actually never showed you guys that area where we eat and socialize and get tea and things like that. The boat docks right next to that area, and we pack up under kind of like what an IKEA bag tarp would look like, so it doesn't get wet on the trip. And then we headed out to our next homestay.
I think we packed very efficiently.
Yeah, it's still working.
Me
Me too. We just have like one outside bag, but it's okay.
Check it out first. We're exiting the lagoon for the last time.
Bye, little lagoon.
We're going to farm, homestay. It's gonna be a bit more beach and maybe a bit more walking and stuff. More horizon.
We got a rainy situation.
There's no rainbows though. Is there no rainbows around the equator?
We have to look it up. Almost there.